Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Christina from Our Wood Home. In today's video we're going to be making spruce tip syrup, which is a simple syrup made from the bright new growth on spruce trees. You'll know what part is the new growth because it looks soft and fluffy and it's sticky and it's a brighter color green than the rest of the tree. When in doubt, just don't pick anything from a tree unless you know for sure what it is. I've already given these a wash and a dry, and I just put them back in the basket because it's cuter. But now I'm going to start making our syrup, which is 1 part spruce tips, 1 part sugar, and 1 part water. So I'm just going to see how many cups worth this is and then adjust accordingly. I'm going to say that's about 3 cups loosely packed. We're going to bring this to a boil and stir it just so that the sugar is fully incorporated. Once it boils, you can just turn the heat off and let it steep for up to 24 hours, or you can let it come to a rolling boil for a little bit longer, and that will make a thicker syrup, but you're going to have less volume. You could also do what I said to start, bring it to a boil. Once it's boiling like it is now, turn off the heat, cover it, and let it steep. And then you could strain it and then thicken up that liquid only. I decided to let my mixture simmer for just a couple minutes, and then I turned off the heat, kept the lid on, and let it infuse for about, most of the day. Not quite 12 hours, but most of the day. Then once it had been steeping for a while, getting all of that really nice flavor, I decided to strain it. These spruce tips now, they can be just discarded, but I'm going to dehydrate them and save them for making tea throughout the winter. They will taste a little bit sweeter than if they were just fresh branches because, of course, they were steeped in some sugar water. But once I have this strained, I'm just going to let everything strain out, make sure there's no more liquid in those spruce tips before moving on to the next step, which is going to be, in my case, putting this liquid in a pot and letting it thicken up by reducing in volume a little bit. I didn't want it to be super thick like a jelly, just a little bit more thick than water. So I didn't keep track of how long I had been simmering this for, but it reduced a little bit in volume. When I was stirring it, it felt thick like a syrup, not thin like a water, so I just used my own discretion and decided when it was the right consistency for what I wanted. After that, I decided to make this syrup shelf stable, so I canned it. I just filled my jars with the hot liquid, and then I steam canned it for 15 minutes. You can also use a water bath canner, but I just have a steam canner, so that's what I used. I decided to can mine, but you don't have to if you don't want to. You can just store it in food safe containers in the fridge for a few weeks and use it up before then. I suppose you could also freeze it in food safe containers. I haven't tried doing that, so I'm not really sure how it looks or what the texture is once it's thawed from frozen. But I think if you just don't want to make a lot of syrup, just don't make a lot of syrup. Just pick a smaller quantity of spruce tips because this is a 1:1:1 ratio. So if you only want to make a small batch, maybe just pick 1 cup of spruce tips and then use 1 cup sugar and 1 cup water. This is not a huge batch for me. Previously I've done a lot more, but I think this is a more manageable batch for me. When I was filling my jars, I had a little tiny bit left over that didn't quite fit in these jars, and I didn't want to water it down, so I just put it in the fridge and it was used up pretty quickly. And speaking of using it, I should probably tell you some of the ways that you can use this spruce syrup. It's really up to you, to be honest. You can use it as a sweetener for tea or lemonade or any other cold drink that you want. I imagine this would also taste nice just with some ice water. You can also use it as a topping for pancakes or waffles or biscuits or even toast if you really wanted to. But I would think if you were making it with toast, you might want it to be a little bit thicker than a syrup. Otherwise, you're going to get some pretty soggy bread. But speaking of soggy, if you wanted to use this as a soak for some cakes, I think that would taste really, really good. The taste of this syrup is varied, I think. I think it tastes very green and citrusy. Other people say it tastes more earthy and kind of tart. I think it's a very unique flavor and everyone is going to interpret it differently. There are a ton of health benefits to spruce syrup, or spruce specifically, so be sure to do your own research because I'm not a medical professional, so I don't want to be giving you any medical advice. This is what the finished syrup looks like. I realized I had a little floater in mine, but that's just because I didn't strain it very well, I guess. I didn't use a very fine sieve or a very fine cloth to strain that out. So if you wanted a more clear product, just make sure you strain it very well. If you decide to make this spruce syrup, please let me know. I'd love to hear what you think it tastes like. Of course, be sure if you're harvesting anything from nature that you have permission to harvest that area and you know for sure what you are picking. These trees came from my property. I know what they are. I have permission, but when in doubt, don't pick them. Thank you so much for watching this video. Leave your comments below. I hope that you have a great rest of your day.